Welcome to Bradford and Brooks with your host, Margie Bradford and Jim Brooks, live on WBRT here in downtown Bardstown. The show is sponsored by Springview Hospital in Lebanon. Thank you for listening to 97.1 FM, 1320 AM, and 94.9 FM in Lebanon. Bradford and Brooks, a civil discourse of discussion where community involvement is encouraged. Bradford and Brooks is on.
All right, good morning, Bardstown and Nelson County, and welcome to another edition of Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks and Margie Bradford here with you today. Good morning, Margie.
Good morning, Jim.
I was going to say a beautiful Wednesday morning, but it's kind of overcast, but I'll take it. At least it's not raining. And I had hoped to keep the rain away after I cut my grass. I thought last week was the last time. Well, it's not going to be the last.
No.
Because that rain, man, it just greened back up and reaching skyward.
Right. And making all the weeds sprout up between my tiles and my driveway. I thought I was over that, but here they come.
Well, you know, even drought doesn't seem to kill weeds.
No.
That's the only thing left.
Absolutely not.
All right. Well, today on Bradford and Brooks, as advertised, we're talking all things tourism. And we have Samantha Brady with us, Executive Director of the formal name, Bardstown-Nelson Nelson County Tourism and Convention Commission. Is
Yes.
that correct? All right.
Man, that sounds impressive.
It does, right?
Yeah. Well, your predecessor from several times back, Dan Bennett, used to give me a hard way to go if I would just say Tourist Commission. He would ride me pretty hard about using the full name, you know. Of course, he's a former newspaper guy, so
he's,
you know, the first time you use it in print, it should have the full name, and then you can shorten it to Tourist Commission. Anyway.
I'll be easy on you.
Okay. All right. Well, Samantha, I guess with the Arts and Crafts Fair last weekend, we're kind of wrapping up the tourism season, but that's not really true. And this is just my observation, town has been really, really busy all summer. And it seems as though there's been an uptick. Of course, last year was nothing. But it seems even before, the year or two before that, it seems like there's so many people in town on weekends, and even during weekday evenings, you see a lot of traffic in town, and it's really good to see that. So is it just my wishful thinking that tourism is up, or what's the state of tourism here in Bardstown and Nelson County? I know just from my drive through town, things seem to be going pretty well.
No, your observations are absolutely on point. So we are seeing more tourism than we've ever seen in the history of tourism in Bardstown, and we can tell that by our tax numbers.
Right.
And so you are definitely not wrong on that front. 2019 was an awesome indicator of what was yet to come. And we were really set in 2020 to have a banner year. But I honestly think we were going to have a banner year, but it was going to be nothing like what we expected now, because now you've got those people that are just ready to go, and they're coming out full force. A lot of people call it revenge tourism. So there's those little words out there about that, and I think we all have a little bit of that in us. We're all kind of like, let us out. We're going, and we're going no matter what. And most of us, a lot of us are vaccinated at this point, and so we feel a little bit safer to come out, and we've had a good time to kind of let this all sink in, and we're trying to do it in the safest way that we can. But we're still going.
Do you have any kind of numbers about, say, for example, the Bourbon Festival, the numbers of people who were here for that? Yeah,
they are actually collecting. I know that the Bourbon Festival will actually come out with those specific numbers, and so those will come out soon. I would expect that those will come out probably around November, and they've done that study. As far as the visitors that came into town, we are doing some digital tracking this year. It's the first time that we've ever done this. We're doing that through a media company, because it's really hard to to really get a number. Now we can say we have 2 brand new hotels that were
Right.
pretty much booked. So we can we have some of those numbers, but it's really hard to say and pinpoint exactly. We can say how many people came to the Bourbon Festival because they sold tickets this year.
Right.
We can say how many people were at the hotels, but all those numbers, it's still hard. So we're hoping for some of that digital feedback that we're going to get soon. So
And of course, you did have the free event.
yes,
Which
yep. Cheers to
not
Bardstown.
not everybody could get into the ticketed festival.
Right. And now that year has passed. Now people know that they need a ticket, and that's good news. So now everybody's in the know. They know that they need a ticket for next year, and hopefully everybody will buy their tickets early.
Well, will they expand the number of tickets? Because I think that was also an issue.
I think I know that they're in the process of making those decisions currently. We just had a meeting yesterday, and they're in the process of making those decisions. But that really is the Bourbon Festival. It's a completely separate organization that makes those decisions.
Right.
And so I feel like probably what will happen, they will add some to that, but it will still be limited and it'll be a ticketed event. So if you want tickets to the Bourbon Festival, make sure you keep watching that and make sure that you go to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival website and enter in your email, and then that way you'll get that information. You'll be the first to get that information.
Now, the free event that took place at the farmers market and that was well attended, I've been told, and seemed to be a success. Was that put on by tourism?
It was a collaboration. So tourism initiated it first, and we initiated this because of a few things. There was some concern from the community members that, they wanted that local festivals to celebrate their heritage and culture. But then from our standpoint, we wanted to make sure that any visitor that came in that didn't know they needed a ticket, they had something else to do, because all of our distilleries book up well in advance. So what I didn't want to happen is for those people to come into town and get turned away and then never come back. So that was our main concern. And so we did that event, and that was a collaboration between tourism, gave some funding for that, and then we helped organize it, and the Chamber of Commerce, and also Main Street.
Well, it seemed to work out well from what I've heard. In fact, I've heard some people say, local people who had been at the Bourbon Festival and got there, and they didn't see many people they knew, so they ended up leaving and going over to the free festival.
Well, change is hard. It always is. It is every single time you make a big change, and this was a big change for our community. And during this time when we've had COVID and there's been so much change, I think it was just 10 times harder. Everything's 10 times harder right now, I think. And so I think that they've got that first year under their belt. So I think now is the time that we're going to have to start making those decisions. Do you do that event again this year? Do you this next year, now that people know that tickets are on sale, what do you do? And then how many tickets will they increase? And how do we need to look at that? And so we're in talks right now to see.
All right. We got a caller on the line. Maybe perhaps with a question.
Okay.
So let's go to the telephone lines if I can punch all the buttons here in the right sequence. And we shouldn't need headphones, but. Hello, you're on the phone with Bradford and Brooks.
Hi, this is Adrienne Bush, and I was just calling in to talk about affordable housing and other things. So if you are ready to talk about that, that's great, and if not, that's fine too.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, Adrienne. I didn't get you down for this week as a guest. So can we reschedule for an upcoming Wednesday?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for calling, Adrienne. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
I still will hope that you will continue to have a free festival for the townspeople. I really think that not just I mean, I understand that the Bourbon Festival is doing its own thing there, but if the town is not really included in that, I think that you will have some hard feelings. I mean, I think that people will be disappointed and say everything is for people coming in and not for us.
Well, and we definitely understand those feelings because we live here. I grew up here, and my mother played an intricate role in starting the Bourbon Festival. So this runs deep in my blood, right? So I do understand all sides and all, I can see every different point and aspect of it, but I'm very open-minded in that way. And so, and I'm trying to, and I always stay that way to try to understand how we can move forward. And I think those talks are just going to have to be open and honest, but my goal this year is to really know something by the first of the year on what we plan to do. I know that tourism sometimes will lift a project up and then we'll hand it off to another organization so they can make because this was not about funds. Tourism's not out there trying to make funds. This was not about that. But if I can hand that over to another organization, and then we can have talks with the Bourbon Festival, have talks with the mayor, and try to decide what's the best way to move forward on this.
Right. Well, in the Bourbon Festival's defense, they were still planning this in the midst of the pandemic.
Very true.
And they, even after they had the planning started and were selling tickets, I think there was doubt on if it would still happen. And so, I thought it was really a wise move to go to a smaller event, and scale it back a little bit because you really didn't know for sure it was actually going to happen in January. So, but anyway, and also I have to give kudos to the NCTA partners for filling that gap with Cheers to Bardstown. Because I will tell you, now here's an example of how valuable it was. My daughter lives in D.C., and she came home for the first time in 2.5 years for Bourbon Festival weekend. And, she had no idea of all the changes. She was going to meet with her friends. Well, she met with her friends, but they went to Cheers to Bardstown. And they had a great time and loved it.
And that was it. It was to fill that gap. So that was exactly the purpose. And she came from out of town, which is exactly, they probably ate at our restaurants and those kind of things. So I think all in all, we were in the middle of it thinking, is this a bad move, a good move? Is this the thing that you should, especially the first year? And, and we want it to be good community partners to everyone, to the Bourbon Festival, to our community, to the visitors. We want to be good community partners to everyone. So sometimes those decisions are really hard to make. And even in the midst of it, of making that call, we just kept going back and forth saying, is this the right thing to do? And I think all in all, at the end of the day, for that first year, it was the right thing to do.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that, and of course, the Bourbon Festival is going to make adjustments for the next year, I'm sure. But the Cheers to Bardstown was, when I heard you all announce that, I thought, there's going to be there's more to do in Bardstown than just the Bourbon Festival that weekend, because there needed to be more to do, and it was just another celebration of the community. And heritage.
And it's a time for people to come back. I mean, several of my kids. I even have a niece who comes down from Bloomington, Indiana, because they have such a good time together, and to not have anything to go to, it'd be a real dampener, I think, on those people coming back again.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your all support. That really means a lot to us because, our partners worked really hard. That Randy Mauser, she's probably one of the hardest working women in this town. I'm just going to be real with you. She works really, really hard. And Lisa Thomas with the Chamber. These are some of the hardest working groups and individuals with the Chamber and Main Street and the NCTA organizations. We work really hard. And our hearts are in it. It really is. I think that shows, and I think that's transparent to people that we really care about this town. We care about the visitors. We care about the locals. I think that's really transparent to people because everything that we do because we love our community.
Well, tell us a little bit. Have you gazed into your crystal ball for tourism for next year? Because like I said, from my observations, this has been a really wonderful year for tourism. Another one of my measuring sticks is how many times I have to accommodate people from out of town going around the courthouse who don't know the flow of traffic.
And it used to be worse.
Well, I mean, but I don't know. I guess it depends on where you're at and how that goes. But that's something I learned as a kid. You always give visitors to town a break.
Yes.
You don't honk your horn and cuss at them. Because chances are, if they're almost all get perplexed by the going around the courthouse.
Heck, yeah.
And so you just know to take care and watch what the other person's going to do. They may not see that yield sign or understand it's for them and not the other traffic in the circle. But anyway, it was really, really good to see so many people here. And again, I think you're absolutely right. There's been a pent-up demand to get out to do things.
There is, and it's changed. Everything's changed. So how people used to look at vacation is a little bit different now. And so the bigger cities used to get a bigger piece of the pie. Mm-hmm. Well, people want less to be in a bigger city
right
now. And I don't like that for a big city, but it really helps us. Mm-hmm. I mean, so small town America is winning right now.
All right. We got another caller on the line, Samantha. So let's go see if we can pick them up on the phone. If I hit all the right buttons in the right order. I guess I made them wait too long. Sorry about that. All right. Again, let's get back to the question about next year, because I know that, tourism is kind of winding down, but kind of not.
No, we're going to get revved up again. And so we've got the beer festival coming this weekend. That's turned into a really great thing. I'm not sure where they're at on ticket sales, but I just got my tickets last week. So I would say if you want a ticket, because they're limited tickets just like always, if you want a ticket, go grab that ticket. And that's a really fun time
what's the date? What's the date of the beer festival?
It is, I think it's Saturday.
This coming Saturday. Okay.
Yeah.
And what are the tickets?
I think the tickets are $45 unless you are you're the sober driver of the group. So you get a break, which you should, at $25, I think is what it was when I looked at that site.
All right. I think we got our caller back on the line. So
for designated drivers.
Designated drivers.
Okay.
Let's see here. All right. Just a moment. All right, we don't have our caller.
No luck today on callers.
Yeah, I know. So tourism is continuing, and all right, they're on the hold. All right, let's try this again if I don't mess up too many buttons here.
Is this three times? 3 times is a charm? I think this is 3. That's what they say.
Of course, they say a lot of things.
They do. I don't know who they is.
Hello?
You're on Bradford and Brooks. Good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Listen, I'd like to thank the Chambers, Main Street, the Tourist Commission, everyone involved with the Cheers to Bardstown. It was very, very thoughtful of them to come together for our community, for Nelson County and our surrounding counties. That's all I want to do is say a big shout out and thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for the call, and I think you've probably gotten a lot of good feedback from everybody regarding Cheers to Bardstown.
It's funny. If Randy was here, she would do the same thing. Randy and Lisa, we almost get emotional every time somebody says that, because I think we almost killed our families during that because, we just couldn't be with our families, and we did a lot of work, and we gave up a lot for a few minutes.
Because you did this at the last minute.
Very much at the last minute for an event of that size.
Yeah.
And so that means more to us than anything, and that's why we did it at the end of the day. So that means a lot to us, and I will carry that message back to the people who work so hard.
Right.
All right. Well, let's take a commercial break and get some business out of the way. You're listening to Bradford and Brooks, and we're talking tourism with Samantha Brady, Executive Director of the Bardstown-Nelson County I'll say Tourist Commission rather than the full name. All right. But we'll be back in just a few moments. Please stay tuned. All right, you're listening to Bradford and Brooks here on WBRT, 1320 AM, 97.1 FM. And if you're listening in Lebanon or Marion County, 94.9 FM over there. And we're talking tourism. We have Samantha Brady. Brady, I'm sorry.
Used to be a Bradley. That you went way back on that.
The Executive Director of Tourism here in Nelson County, Bardstown-Nelson County. And we've been talking about tourism. And after a pandemic year, tourism kind of exploded here in Bardstown and Nelson County. And all you had to do was drive down 3rd Street on any, a lot of evenings during the week or weekends.
Right.
It's just, places were packed. I know that my wife and I love Mammy's meatloaf special on Thursday. And so we once the restaurants opened back up, we started hitting Mammy's every Thursday. And it was just amazing to me how many, it's a Thursday in the middle of the week, how many people from out of town we would run into while we were waiting to get a table. So, it's just, it's really, really heartening to see people traveling and wanting to get out and go to places. And we're once again on people's radar for being a destination. And especially one that's not going to, our 4 o'clock traffic type is about as bad as the traffic gets, and that doesn't last that long. But, they can get out of the rat race in their urban areas and get out here for a little bit of for a little slower pace, I think.
Absolutely. I think, we did a lot as tourism and the Chamber and Main Street. We did a lot to help welcome the tourists in during that time. But I think more so, I always think that the people that really sell us are the hospitality workers. And, a lot of those people are working extra hard right now because there's not a lot of staff right now.
Right.
And so being kind to those people is super important because they are double timing it. And they are making some good money. I'll tell you, some of those waiters and servers. So just going to say, if you are ever thinking about being a waiter or server, they're making some very, very good tips right now. If they're like me, I'm tipping extra because I feel for them because I know that they're having to do a lot of extra work right now because of the lack of staff. And that's all over the United States. That's everywhere.
Right.
So the good and the bad news is that's everywhere you go. That's a problem everywhere you go right now. But those hospitality members welcome them in, and that means the people at attractions, hotels, B&Bs, the restaurants, all those people make us the destination that we are. I'd love to be able to say, it's all us here at tourism bringing these people in and making them happy, but it's not. It really is this town. It's also the locals, because I can't tell you how many times I'll be in line somewhere and there'll be a visitor asking, where do you go for this? And then somebody kind of picking up that, helping, show them where to go down the street. I mean, you see that all the time. And so I think that's part of what makes us so cool.
It is, because people are, we're used to walking down the street and speaking to people whether we know them or not.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people that are not used to that.
No.
So they, they find it charming.
They do. And they eat that up. They love it. I think that is part of why we're so special to people. And that's why small town America has really made a comeback.
I'm just curious. I'm sure you talk to colleagues in tourism in other parts of the country and in other markets. Has tourism bounced back in urban areas as well?
Definitely not like we have.
Really?
Nope. there's a lot of urban markets that are struggling right now. And that's why I say I really hate that we're, I love that we're getting those tourists that they, because everybody wants the piece of that market share. They all want that. It's hard to see some of the urban markets that are suffering and have had a pretty rough couple of years. I do think they'll come back in the next 3 to 5 years. We know that intent will be there. We know that that's coming. But for now, we're gonna pull in as many as we can for now. And I think that it's become not even a trend, but a new way of travel now to visit small town America.
Well, Samantha, I guess it's kind of been a tradition of sorts that it seemed as though the tourism ended with the last festival. And for us it would be Arts and Crafts Festival, but of course we've got the beer festival this weekend. But unless you take notice, you probably aren't aware that tourism is going to continue through the end of the year.
Oh, it is.
And you mentioned there were some events and things that will keep people coming back for more.
There are. So Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're saying that right now. I've never had a year that felt like it went so fast. My mother always says the older you get, the faster it goes.
It does.
But I swear this was warp speed this year. And I constantly feel like I'm just getting over the last event or the next thing and then doing the next. So, but that's good. That's a good problem to have, that, we're so busy that we feel like it's just flown by because you're having fun. That's what happens. But we have, all of our, many of our things for Christmas have come back. And we've been doing Christmas around Bardstown for years and years and years. But if you go to, and it should be up in the next few weeks, but if you go to visit bardstown.com/Christmas, we'll have all of our events listed. And I know we're working on that frantically right now to try to get those events up and going, because it was so hard to get everybody to say yes, they were doing something. Right. That's been something for the last year that we have had to, there's been 2 people in my office that almost their full-time job was making phone calls. Right. To say, are you going to do this? Are you going to be open? Are you not going to be open? So we've tried to really stay on top of that. And we have an events list that comes out each week. Each and every week, my staff calls every single bar, every single attraction, and they find out the hours and when they're going to be there, because things change so much now. Sure. That even with staffing now, it changes. Right. They have to close sometimes. Right. And so we're just trying to give the public that information. So if you go to our Facebook page, you can always get that live. You can also get it from visitbardstown.com. Okay. So keep watching those things, because it has all that information. We try to keep all that information on there.
All right. Well, I just this morning picked up my application for the Christmas parade.
Oh, good.
So I'll have my old Plymouth. My wife and I will be in the parade this year.
I didn't know you were in. I didn't know you were part of the parade. I may have to come down and watch it just to.
Well, you might ride with us if you want.
There you go. Depends on how cold it is.
Well, remember, this is a 65-year-old car, and the heater may not be up to snuff, depending on how cold it is. I've been at some Christmas parades where it was bitterly cold, but and some when it wasn't cold at all. So, but anyway, and you mentioned Christmas around Bardstown. I've got one of the. I've got a white sweatshirt.
I remember that sweatshirt. I want to bring that sweatshirt back like a throwback.
Oh, absolutely. I love that sweatshirt.
I would totally want to wear it.
Tell me about the sweatshirt. I'm not in on the sweatshirt business.
It's got a big wreath on it with a candle, I believe. Yeah. And it says Christmas around Bardstown. And it's, I love it. I'll buy a new one. I guard mine. It's got a little moth hole in it in the middle of the wreath, but you can't see it.
I got to get you, even if we don't do a big bunch of shirts, I got to get you another shirt. You deserve, for remembering that and for keeping that shirt that many years with your moth hole in it, I need to get you another shirt. You deserve that.
Well, it's my favorite Christmas shirt, and I will wear it to our family get together, and I try to wear it out in public, because people, it's kind of like having an old car. People say, I had one like that once.
Yes, we talked about that one day that I wanted to do a throwback to that. Because I loved that shirt. I thought that was so cool. And I think at that time they had candles in all the windows. They had done this big campaign.
Right.
Well,
and
yeah,
put candles
Dixie,
in the
when
window.
Dixie
Yes.
was mayor, I still use my candles every year. I love the candle business.
Yeah, that was gorgeous too.
Yeah.
To walk around and
Right.
and last year we did that holiday road trip.
Right.
We still want to encourage people to light up, but this year we're going to be able to do a little more traditional like we typically did. We did the road trip really because we needed something for people to be able to get out.
Right.
We had people come from everywhere, and I told people a lot. The holiday road trip was, also residential lighting. It was downtown lighting, and we're trying for something really special this year. We're trying to get some funds for some really special lighting this year for downtown, and Randy Mauser is working hard on that. So hopefully we'll be able to make that happen. But we still want to encourage everybody to light up, because what a great time it is to be able to. It reminds me of an old, kind of a throwback. To the older days when we would walk around. I mean, you didn't have the big Christmas, the big neon lights that they have at all the parks and things like that. We really wanted this to feel like a hometown Christmas, and because that's who we are. I think I think it's important to be who you are as your community, and as a destination, because that's what people want. They want authenticity. They don't want to come somewhere that you're faking it. You can't fake it. You just got to be who you are, and people will love you for who you are.
Right, and I've always enjoyed the candles in the homes along North 3rd Street too. It just feels, it just adds a special touch to, of course, Bardstown's my hometown, and even if I live north of town, it's still my home.
Absolutely, it'll always be, right? If that's your hometown, if that's where you said that's your hometown, it's always going to be that.
Right, but of course, then after Christmas we'll get into the winter months, but probably a time for you guys and you and the NCTA partners to kind of recharge a little bit and make plans for the upcoming months, because it gets here quickly.
It does get here quickly, but I think that this year we're never going to slow down. I don't think and we it's kind of a running joke now that we say, when this is done, when this is over, and then we kind of laugh. No, it's
Because
never over.
You're already starting on the next thing.
Yeah, we're already starting on the next thing, and we're seeing so many visitors at this point. I would dare to say that even in our slower months, January, February, and March, we're still going to see some traffic through here that we haven't seen before.
Are you going to be? Do you have any numbers in mind?
We don't have particular numbers. We're actually working on that data now.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get those numbers. Now, most destinations track their numbers through overnight stays. And now with our extra hotels that we have, and then we have another one along the way, I think in December, La Quinta is going to be up and going, and it's a beautiful looking facility out there. So that's another one to add to our list.
Where is that?
That is on the bypass. It is next to Corbin's.
Oh,
really
yeah.
close to Corbin's and across from Lex Road, so it's a really great location.
All right.
So, that's our third brand new hotel.
Right.
I mean,
how many new rooms have been added with these hotels?
With that particular hotel, each one of those hotels have roughly anywhere from 80 to 90-something rooms. So I'd say close to 250 or 270-something rooms, probably, roughly, for the new hotels.
Right.
Yeah.
And chances are, I suspect that there'll be people who are going to events in Louisville who would rather come out here and drive in.
Yeah, we're having that happen a lot. And we work with Louisville as well, and we have for years, and we want to continue that process, and we would hope that people would help us in a time that is a little rough, and so we're helping them as much as we possibly can, sending people their way and our way. So we want to be good neighbors. I think that's what we should do as tourism partners.
It's a smart thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you latch on to all those community partners around you. I work with Shelbyville and E-Town and all those community partners. We all help each other because some things they have that we don't.
Right.
And vice versa. I mean, we have most everything. No, not really. Everybody's got a little something different, so you kind of push them there.
Well, talk a little bit about the Arts and Crafts Festival that just finished. I mean, I was out of town, so I didn't get to go to it. So,
well, the weather held out.
Tell us a little bit about it.
The weather held out again for the third event in a row. The weather held out. I mean, I thought eventually our luck's going to run out, and it did not. It did not run out, and so we're very blessed and very thankful for that here in Bardstown because we needed a successful arts and crafts fair. The Main Street program is run, and it can only be alive by those events. Right. That's how they make their money.
Right.
And that's the only way that they make money. And so she was unable to do that last year. It was a heartbreaker. Right. And we went back and forth, and she went back and forth and she wanted to do it so bad. And then the safety and so this year it was, like I said, I think every event we've done this year has been pretty emotional that we were able to have it and feel normal again. And people were glad to be out and about, and they were definitely glad to be out and about on Saturday. Sunday was great as well. It was just a little bit slower, but it always is.
Yeah.
And Saturday was the day, and it was a little hot on those
like
days.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
It's Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, Saturday.
They set up Friday night.
They set up Friday, and then they have it on.
Yeah, and that's over 200 booths. And I don't know if you all know this, but the Bardstown Arts and Crafts Fair was named the top festival in the state this year. Wow. By Kentucky Living. So I thought that was a pretty good accolade. So it was the #1 festival in the state, above all the other ones. I mean, you can think of some pretty big ones, right? That we have that aren't too far away. Right. And they were named the best in the state. So we were really proud of that. And I think that that's totally the team that Main Street has, and that everybody pitches in this community to make that go.
Right. Well, the Arts and Crafts Fair is well managed and juried, and I mean, when you go there that you're going to have some first class vendors. Absolutely. And you're going to see people at the top of their game in whatever the craft or art work might be.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing, and it's can be such an eclectic mix of crafts and things that you normally you might not see again until the next crafts fair.
Well, and the thing with the downtown merchants, they will all tell you this, that they make more money during the Arts and Crafts Fair than they make probably most of the year. And the reason for that is a lot of these people come with wads of cash. They come with cash. And they've saved up all year because they know they're going to the Arts and Crafts Fair, and they do their Christmas shopping and all that. So not only does the Arts and Crafts Festival, gain a lot from that, but we're bringing people in to shop and eat and do and stay overnight. So it is definitely a driver for tourism for us, and it has been for years.
I remember the very first one.
Oh.
And of course, Dixie was really involved in that, and in that. And they had a little parade. They had a pet parade. One of the things they did was have a parade of pets.
That is the best idea I have ever heard. We're going to do that. I am going to make Randy's going to kill me when I tell her that we're doing something else.
My Cocker Spaniel is no longer there to come through wearing his hat and scarf around his neck, but that was they had a parade of pets.
That is the coolest idea I have ever heard. That is the coolest idea. I want a pet parade at some point, and my dog's going to be in it. Just
okay.
I don't care where we do it. We need to do it.
The kids love it.
Oh, kids would eat that alive
they would.
With a pet parade. Oh, and they have those, they have different races and stuff. I have a Dachshund, so they have those races that I always want to bring a Dachshund race. And so, but yeah, I think that is a really great idea. See, that's why you need to talk to people who've been here for years, because they have these ideas that you think that you've thought of everything, but you haven't. You haven't.
Well, I can't take any credit for the idea, but we did participate.
I want a pet parade at some point.
So did your Cocker Spaniel win anything?
Well, no, he never cooperated with anything. I mean, he was tugged on. He's one of those independent-minded things. But the kids had a great time. They loved it, parading down the street with him.
That is a cool idea.
The cat, unfortunately, ran away. She did not. My daughter dressed her up in a little dress and tried to put her in the parade, and she was not having it.
I'm gonna say that cats don't have the personality for a parade.
Oh, they definitely do not. They are not going along with the crowd.
No.
They're independent thinkers.
Yeah,
so.
no, they'll have their own parade. They're not gonna.
That's right. A parade of one. So good. I can look forward to a pet
I'm
parade.
telling you, you mark my words. At some point, this pet parade is going down.
It's going to happen.
And mostly just because I want the pet parade for myself.
Now, do you dress up your dachshund?
Yes. Oh, yeah. My dachshund has dressed up as everything from a hot dog to a witch. Yeah, this dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. She's older now, and she kind of rolls her eyes at me and just lays there when I put stuff on her, but she's fine. She's fine. So I feel like she likes it.
Just don't put her in a tutu.
Yeah, a tutu would be great. You're giving me too many ideas to do this.
Well, of course, spring will be here before we know it. What's looking in your crystal ball? What's the next year look like? You think? Now personally, there's places I want to go that I haven't been yet. So to me, I personally feel like there's still places to go, things to do that there's still more to do, more traveling, within Kentucky, within the area.
Absolutely.
What do you think as far as the next year?
I do know that with COVID, we did see an increase all over the state of Kentucky and probably all over the U.S. Of outdoor tourism. So there are a lot of people, especially in springtime, that are going to go do hikes. They're going to want to come to Bernheim and see the giants, and those are big draws right now. Of course, our bourbon is always going to be a huge draw. But I think you're going to see a little bit of an increase with that. But I also think that also includes strolling downtown where they can do that outdoors and then go inside. I think we feel safest outdoors after all this.
Yes.
I do. I mean, I feel safest outdoors, and I think you're going to see more of that in the springtime, and people are more interested than ever in fall foliage. They're interested in, spring flowers. We have people that are calling about that. And so, when do the spring flowers pop? Well, let's see this year. We kind of have a range for that. They don't tell us when they're going to do that. But so I think that you're going to see an increase of an interest in that as well. But I think it's only going to increase here in Bardstown. So I am hoping that more people come back to work and that, we can accommodate all those people. And there's a lot of really great jobs out there. I mean, with, log steel that's out there. I know that they're constantly hiring for people for the amphitheater and all those different positions. I mean, we have a lot of great opportunities here in Bardstown. And sometimes I hear these kids talking about, they're going to move to California, and I'll say to them, just the other day, I had several people in my car that I took around from a local distillery that moved here from California to take jobs. So, but they don't know, because we don't have that culture just yet that's ingrained in us, that we know that we have marketing jobs here, that, there's so many opportunities now, graphic designers. There's so many really cool jobs here, right here in Bardstown, that you don't have to go anywhere.
Right.
And we are pulling people in from all over the country to work here. So it's really a cool thing to see that, and I love welcoming those new people in, because I think that they will help us design what's coming in Bardstown. They'll help us push us even further.
Right.
Well, I think, the popularity of outdoor events was certainly on everybody's mind this year. I think any outdoor event, concert, or all the outdoor events were well attended.
Yeah.
And I think that... and I think you're right. People feel safer, but it was never ceased to amaze me the foot traffic all around downtown all summer long.
More than we have ever seen
Well.
before. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so cool. You know, my office actually faces 3rd Street.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I'm very nostalgic about that stuff. And you see those people, and it's so exciting. I tell people sometimes I have to look over my shoulder and think, do I really have this job that I get to do this? That I get to welcome these people in, so that's exciting. It's exciting to see that every day. And I have an international show that I'm going to. So we're going to pull in international guests as well back again. They're going to come back again. And so you'll also see more buses come through Bardstown eventually.
Right.
And so I've hired some staff members to take care of those people because I want to make sure to sustain these hotels. We finally got them.
Right.
And I have got to keep these hotels full, and that's really important to me. We want to make sure that they
Well,
stay
at
vibrant.
one time, we did have a lot of buses coming in here.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think things ebb and flow.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
And I think I think they're coming back. I think a
So
lot of
where
it's coming
are
back.
these buses coming from?
They come from all over the United States.
Okay.
So we'll go to a show, and what a show is there's we'll sit down and I'll talk about Bardstown, and we'll meet with people and tell them everything that we have to offer. They'll tell us what they need from their perspective to come in and bring a tour.
Right.
How many can we accommodate? Because we can do
Right.
small groups.
Right.
Bigger cities can do the larger groups, but we
Right.
can do a smaller group. And part of the reason why you didn't see as many buses for years is we didn't have the hotels to accommodate them.
Right.
So now we've got these hotels.
You do.
And so it's really exciting, and to be able to offer that again.
Well, we are just about down to the wire. I appreciate you for coming in today so much and sharing all this information about tourism and the work you and your staff do, and Main Street and all the NCTA partners. I mean, I know that you all work together to make things happen, and thank you for everything.
Well, thanks for having me, and thank you all for
WBRT
getting the word
Bardstown,
out.
1320
I
AM
really
and
enjoyed it.
97.1 FM, the most listened to radio station in Nelson County.